Their intention was to subvert the SNP. This is sensible, isn't it? Their intention was to subvert the SNP.
I'm Oliver.
This is sensible, isn't it?
He's doing a pretty good job.
Oliver. What? This is sensible, isn't it?
He's doing a pretty good job.
I'm actually not laughing.
He's had to mute himself because he can't stop laughing in between.
I'm actually not laughing.
This is sensible, isn't it?
He's doing a pretty good job.
Oliver. What?
It resonates greatly within me.
This is sensible, isn't it?
He's doing a pretty good job.
I'm actually not laughing.
He's had to mute himself because he can't stop laughing in between.
I'm actually not laughing. It resonates greatly within me.
Oliver. What? This is sensible, isn't it?
He's doing a pretty good job.
I'm actually not laughing.
Oliver. What?
It resonates greatly within me.
He's doing a pretty good job. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening. Please delete as applicable because the internet is worldwide and time zones are indeed a thing. Could we get a wee audio check there in the chat, please? And welcome to the stream. This is due to scheduling issues. We're doing the last week of the month. Saturday of the month stream on the first Saturday of the month, and we are currently waiting on a Sansom communion to arrive. He has got held up somewhere between the last stream and this stream. So with no further ado, I will introduce the other guest, DJ Resisting the Lies. What about you, chum?
I think you should just be honest and tell everybody what Sansom's doing. I think the chat deserve to know. Taking a massive shite.
Well, it was muted in the chat that what he was doing was getting his dress and makeup off after the previous stream.
Mm-hmm. He's getting in touch with his feminine side. Like, happens to us all. Old age doesn't come alone, eh? Sense you're doing that if you're listening in. But, it's been a wee while, has it no? Forget me on fucking YouTube anymore, really, apart from just uploading my wee clips, like. But it's kind of good to finally speak for once.
Yeah. Right. Well, before we get into the meat and bones of it, first off, a big welcome to anybody who came along from Bonnie Lad's stream earlier, his regular stop with Sansom, which I was actually a guest on tonight. It was a really good stream. I would say to anybody, if you enjoy my stuff and you're not watching that stream earlier in the evening, you're missing out, and probably get yourself over to there. DJ, oh no, it's Toffee you're streaming with this week, isn't it?
Yeah,
with Toffee on Monday evening.
I was going to say tomorrow, but it's a Saturday. Monday. It's 7 o'clock. So, yeah. That'd be decent because it's a sort of different format to what I'm used to. You know, I'm sort of sick to the back and back teeth for talking to no end about Nicola Sturgeon and Hamza Yusuf, you know, so it might be a wee nice change to just speak about shite. I don't know.
Very good.
First question, I bet he's all prepared to. First question, I'll be, so DJ, tell me about Hamza Yusuf. For fuck's sake, I don't want to talk about him anymore, eh?
Well, we want to leave your rant on Hamza until at least after the 20-minute mark.
Oh, but without a doubt, it's probably going to come up tonight.
Not in the first 20 minutes. We'll make it harder for people to find.
I'll let Sensen jump in a sec, but that fucking photo that he posted on his Twitter, like within like 2 minutes of being classified as First Minister, he's standing in Bitchute House Parade, America and that. Like, what the fuck you doing? I mean, you might as well just pee all over the top tire while you're at it, you prick. Like, oh. It's wow. I'm just, I don't know. This is just shit. I'm never going to say on this Nicola Sturgeon, but this is just the equivalent of getting rid of gonorrhea and then getting gonorrhea again. So.
Oh well, right. And Sansom has arrived. What about you, chum?
Hello, mate. Sorry for the tardiness. Just had a little bit extra backroom chat there with Bonnie Lad and Aunt Sally. I actually was trying to find my Cherry Revolution avatar, but I couldn't find that one. So I ended up going one with a brilliant one by Scottish Tam, who portrayed me as Thor from the Avengers, which is my rightful place because I am a god. There you go.
See, sorry, there's X on the chart. See, my mic's quiet. See, I'm fucking telling you, I think the mic's on the way out. Like, see what I can do.
It sounds okay.
Yours is all right, mate.
Aye, but see, like as I was saying before we went live, when I was doing a video call last night and my mic was messing about, so I sent a voice note and saved messages in Telegram before we came live, and it was quiet as well. So I don't know.
But mate, honestly, you know, it's this when you use StreamYard, it's a lot different to when you're using your OnlyFans, mate.
Well, I like to show off my underwhelming penis.
Well, it's the best 2 inches those women get, isn't it? You know.
No, it's great, you know. Gets me a lot of clicks, but mostly for comedic value. But it pays the bills, yeah. So I can thank my father for giving me a small cock. Okay, now why are we talking about that?
I don't know, but right, we'll get the rest of the housekeeping done. Right, Rags is on Sunday night. We went totally out of order in everything. We're just not organising it. Rags is on Sunday night from, I believe, 8 o'clock. I'm not sure who he has guessing with him.
It's James Hayworth, mate. James Hayworth is the birthday stream for James Hayworth.
Excellent. That should be good. And Sansom, are you doing a stream later on Sunday? No? Yes?
No, I'm not because I'm on the naughty step.
Oh, right. Yes.
But I wasn't going to be doing one anyway because I did Bonnie Lad last night on the new stream with Toffee, and then did the film review with John Davidson. Tonight I've just finished, like yourself, on Bonnie Lad stream, and I'm doing this one. So I wasn't planning on doing one anyway.
Yeah.
So YouTube, fuck you. No skin off my bastard nose, you fucker.
And what did we get a strike for?
Yeah, I got a strike for going against the WHO's COVID guidelines because I unfortunately quoted from a medical journal, a peer-reviewed medical journal, as opposed to listening to an Ethiopian war criminal who has no medical background whatsoever, who fronts up the WHO, which is funded by Big Pharma. So, fuck you.
Sounds about right. Let's see. And the other shout out that we'll always do, because did Toffee on Monday night. John Davison, every Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday from 9. And if you're at a loose end during the afternoons, Dave Waffle House, formerly known as Planet X Hunter, does a good wee show where he waffles with the chat. 420 coffee and waffles, something's called most afternoons. I think it starts around 3:30. So that's all the shout outs done.
No, hold on a minute. Did you do Toffees?
I did, yeah.
Oh, did you do Toffees? Because he's doing a stream with our good mate DJ there.
Yeah.
And he tore a strip off me. He says, "You got the time wrong. You got the time wrong."
Oh,
hey, soft lad, you got the fucking time wrong. You know what I mean? I don't come on these fucking streams for you to get the fucking time wrong. You know what I mean? So there you go, Toffee.
I'm sorry, but you had one job. No, asking for
I thought, what time are you on then? Is it 9 o'clock?
7.
Why the fuck are you on it? Oh, sorry. Yeah,
I'll tell you why.
You go to bed at baby times these days,
No. Did you not hear what he said when he was on the stream live? He said that each week, the prestige level of the person who's got appearing goes up a notch. So it was Woodlander, then it was Clive. I'm up a notch. Therefore, he's now at a stage where the people that he has on his stream get to dictate the time. That's the only reason.
You're just a
not Paul. We'll do it on my terms. My time is money. And he agreed because
a faggoty ass weakling who goes to bed early. That's what it is.
Right. So DJ, are you behaving like a demon, saying I'll only stream at X time?
Am I behaving like a demon? No.
I
didn't actually say anything about making it earlier. He just suggested it because I do have a tendency to fucking crash out after work. I'm working long fucking hours. You try being on the police like doing what I'm doing. Maybe you'd manage it for it too, but you're sensing you went fucking top like.
I'll tell you something now, right? These hands have not lifted anything heavier than a fucking pencil. So
But it
enjoy
ain't a fucking day where I ain't lifting son heavier.
Yeah, go on.
Fucking nightmare.
You
My only
two
respite's when I get to
faggot,
sit in the
go on.
fucking dumper. Or a bill
Go on,
So-
go on, you fucking
What?
narcolepsy bastard. Fuck off.
I got to the root cause of it though. It's fucking ice cream. Just have to stop eating half a tub of ice cream after work. So
Oh, so it was that, Rollians?
it was what today? Yeah, I think so.
Aye.
Yeah, it's like there was like 1 or 2 times where I would have no ice cream and still crash out, but that's I don't know. Like every time I had, because I would have half a tub of ice cream every night after my dinner in a big bowl with like 2 Mueller yogurts on top of it, and then I would just conk out. So I'm pretty sure I'm just overeating.
Yeah, that'll do it.
You thinking of fucking sorts? Thinking about dying and shit. She can start to convince me I have diabetes. I will if I keep eating ice cream.
Yeah.
Biden likes ice cream, mate. Did you see my little image of Biden with his ice, the ice cream image? You probably didn't because, like, you know, you don't bother with my shit anymore. But I thought it was quite a funny image, you know, really good one. Did it myself and everything.
Yeah. I don't hear you ever compliment my thumbnail, so why should I compliment yours? Like,
I do compliment your
Yeah, man.
thumbnails on your videos. They're brilliant.
each and every individual thumbnail, like the fucking fine detail, like with Paint 3D, that is artistic prowess that's unmatched, you know? Hell yeah. Like my Maggie Chapman, Jar Jar Binks compilation that I did the other week. I thought that was something else. Quite spectacular, in all honesty.
Yes.
It's probably the most weirdest thing I've ever done. Gets the clicks though.
Right. Well, we'll start to get into some of this content.
Oh, we will after. You can also compliment my thumbnails.
Your thumbnail is lovely.
It's been a while.
Your thumbnail is lovely.
Oh, because it's no plural. So you don't like the edge. You just like one.
Oh, right. You're a class act with the making of the thumbnails.
That's better.
Yeah.
That's better.
Is there anything particular of the
Don't ask.
of the links that you posted that you would like to jump to?
Well, I mean, there's an elephant in the room, is there not? And he's brown.
Oh, right. Do you want to go to that one first?
Well, we could do it, aye. Or the other one as well is all the misogyny shit that's happening in Scotland right now as well. A double whammy. I don't know if
Right.
I've seen videos and shit in that chat, but like last week I was clipping stuff. Because remember the hate crime bill in Scotland?
Yes.
Well, obviously, initially, sex was included as a characteristic, or protected characteristics, but the feminists went mental and demanded that sex be taken out because, obviously, to include it would have included men. Can't be having that. So the Scottish Government, the SNP, promised that they would create a working group who would, quote unquote, investigate to see if misogyny should be implemented at a later date as a separate standalone offence. Right? So not misogyny, just misogyny.
Yeah.
Lo and behold, obviously, they get a group of like extreme feminists together, including Helena Kennedy. And we did go through this a bit on Match TV. We did the other month, the one where we were talking about like UN toilet day and stuff. They redefined fucking misogyny and stuff. Well, anyway, to cut a long story short, now it's on the verge of becoming implemented in Scots law alongside Hamza's hate crime bill. So there's like a consultation out at the moment, which will just get ignored the same way that the hate crime bill consultation got ignored and adding misogyny as a protected characteristic got ignored. But like they were doing some big fucking quote unquote debate last weekend. Was it last weekend or 2 weekends ago in the Parliament? Sam and Dribble they were coming out with just total nonsense. But like you can laugh at it and you can point fingers and poke holes in their stories, but the reality is they are basing policies on this bullshit. Like you'd have to hear it. So, I mean, I can get a video at some point. There's one where this absolute mongoloid tries to define misogyny. And you just sit there like, what the fuck's going on? What's going on? This country's still fucking cocked up.
Do you have a link for any of that you want me to throw up?
I'll get it up now. I don't think I sent anything in the chat about that, but
I'm looking through it.
I'll just play the fucking her defining misogyny. It was just ridiculous. Apparently, there's a spectrum of misogyny. Did you know that?
Well, gender's on a spectrum and race is on a spectrum. Why
Yeah.
would misogyny not be?
But then there was even a term that I haven't heard in some time used, gender justice. You know? Oh, yeah.
Oh,
It's just fucking ridiculous.
that's
You know when you're talking about that, the term spectrum.
yeah.
I was waffling on about when we used to play games on the Commodore 64 and Spectrum. Somebody must have misheard it and had a bit of a twist.
Yeah, I did. I played that on a spectrum.
I hadn't. And the problem is, I had no idea what the fucker was going on about, and it was me lad, and he said, "Run about the spectrum." I goes, "What? Well, I'm on about the spectrum as well." He goes, "No, not the computer. They're on about the spectrum of Asperger's and autism and that." Because somebody thought I was taking the piss out of fucking retards because I was talking about a spectrum, and I actually was talking about a Spectrum 48K game, and it was actually called 3D Ant-Attack. And this fucker had the audacity to say, "Oh, I think it's a disgrace that you're talking about people who are on the spectrum." I'm like, "Well, I used to be on the spectrum," and it was like, "Yeah, they don't mean that spectrum." I was like, "Well, I haven't got a fucking clue what you're on about. Fuck off." You know, I'm no longer interested in what you've got to say because you're clearly a fucking idiot.
Yeah, it's another one. It's another problem with the redefining of words, and this all becomes very problematic to communicate because we've got many people that understand the definitions of words differently, which doesn't help.
You hear that quite a lot in all this dribble. I mean, I've got a rake of videos that are compiled from that shit, but like as you say there, the redefining the words. Like you'll hear that. I'm pretty sure you'll hear it in this video as well. Gender-based violence. Now, obviously, you would assume that is battering up a woman or whatever. No, it's not. That's disparities, right? So that's literally like it's a spectrum, as they say. So you've got things like wolf whistling, outdated stereotypes. Disparities are an indication of gender-based violence. It's kind of like the equivalent, you know, how they like say like words are violence and shit. Same principle, but they'll stand there and they'll use the old words, but they have modernized meanings that are just redundant. But it still sounds compelling to whomever's listening if they're a retard. But I'll play a bit of this.
Yeah.
All right.
Is misogyny how behavior from thing a way of thinking that holds the primary status of men and a sense of male entitlement, while subordinating women and limiting their power and freedom. Conduct based on this thinking can include a range of abusive and controlling behaviours, including rape, sexual offences, harassment and bullying, and domestic abuse. And in their briefing, Scottish Women's Aid go further, adding that misogyny can be conscious or unconscious, and men and women can be socialised to accept it. So in the report, the working group set out examples of the testimony they heard about how misogyny is perpetrated, including pervasive sexualised abuse online and offline, threats of harm, including rape, sexual assault and disfigurement, and the emerging threat posed by a growing incel culture. And that being on the receiving end of these behaviours is routine for women and girls in Scotland and places them at greater risk of poverty, ill health, isolation, exclusion, and other forms of inequality. Now, it's
I'm
important
not
to
going to play all of her, but I just want to play one more, right? But you get the gist. Like, they want to make this, like, some of the shit she said there, like threats of violence and all that, like, these things are illegal anyway. But they always lump in the most, like, dramatic off examples to sort of blur the lines, and, you know, like rape. How's that anything to do with fucking misogyny? Like, if you're a gay guy, I'm pretty sure you're going to go out on the prowl if you're a rapist and you're going to try and find a guy. I think it's more to do with sexuality, but no. According to these twats, it's men who hate women because they're women. You know? The same with domestic violence. If a man batters his wife, that's because he hates women. It's because of what he was taught in fucking nursery. That is literally what they're saying. But yeah, if you say to them, well, what about women that batter other women? What about women who batter their male partner? Well, we can't talk about that because in order to acknowledge that that exists, we are immediately disrupt their narrative. But,
Yeah.
2 6. I think it's this one here. Oh.
I see the stream getting a bit of an advertisement down the sidebar.
They are important because they are day in, day out in Scotland, and they demonstrate the need for action. Presiding officer, the examples will not come as a surprise to women in the chamber. However, some men might be surprised quite how routine it is for women and girls to experience this kind of behaviour. We, as men, say we find such behaviour unacceptable, though the uncomfortable truth that must be confronted is that some of us do not actually find it unacceptable, or it wouldn't be as commonplace as it is. It's important that men who do not experience this on a day-to-day basis acknowledge that there is nothing at all unusual or exceptional about it. Presiding officer, misogyny, in whatever form it takes, belittles women and girls. It drains confidence and it limits ambition. It can affect the potential of individual women and girls and groups of women and girls by making them more reluctant and less able to play a full part in all aspects of everyday life. It represents a barrier to achieving a growing economy and dynamic society where everyone can reach their full potential free from discrimination. The title of this afternoon's debate is Misogyny and Criminal Law Reform. Presiding officer, I am under no illusion that changing the criminal law on its own will not be sufficient to address the age-old problem of misogyny. However, criminal law reform can help spur wider social transformation by encouraging and requiring behavioural change through new laws as to what amounts to criminally unacceptable behaviour.
So, I mean, I don't know if you picked that up towards the end there, but it kind of lets slip what this is really about yet again. This is about more excuses to prioritise women, get them into positions of power. More feminist shit, you know? Oh, they're more reluctant to play their full part in society because of misogyny, right? Which they've redefined. So, what do we do about that then? Well, we need to go after the children, of which they say in some of these clips. We need to go into schools and change behaviour and perceptions and assumptions, etc. Because it's ingrained, misogyny is ingrained. We also need to put things into place to specifically prioritise girls, so they go into subjects that they don't go into, not because they're different to boys. No, it's because of misogyny. Women don't go into STEM because of misogyny, apparently. So we need to put things into place for them there. We also need to do things in the adult life for them as well. So we need to put them into Parliament, you know. Scotland's misogynistic because Parliament's not 50-50 yet in terms of male to female proportion. You know, this is the sort of shit that they use the old terminology, and it seems to just fly under the radar. I'm surprised this has not actually got more attention than it caught. Like, I'm not seeing any other YouTube channel want to post shit about that stuff. But like, the fuck, this stuff's just flying under the radar. Nobody knows. But yeah, I'll stop rambling now. Just fucking bunch of clowns here.
But if Scotland genuinely was misogynistic, there wouldn't be any females in politics, much less successful in elections in positions of power, and they would not be creating this bill.
Exactly.
And I'm getting more and more peeved with women and children being a class together, because I think that actually infantizes women. Do they not have agency? Are they the same as children on the same level? Because I'm pretty sure they're not.
I think it's more framed to make it appear as if men are a danger to both women and children, because it's the same as every other demographic across the country. They're all oppressed by the evil white man in some capacity. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I'll put policy, because if you think about it, children, that encompasses girls as well as boys. So then they've got the carte blanche to go to school to do what they need to do.
And basically, what they're doing in school is they're uh, doing a perpetrator rehabilitation program for domestic violence and rolling it out to all men and boys now, despite the fact that at least 95% of them have never actually perpetrated violence against women, girls, or children.
No, and I mean, I've been like taking the piss out of them on and off for years on some videos when they posted stuff to their like YouTube channel and stuff in Scottish Parliament. Sounded like they've been saying the same nonsense for years, and it just because it goes unchallenged. You know, like another one they're running with just now was the I'm sure you have heard about the came out, I think it was last year. There's this apparent shocking study that was conducted by the United Nations, I think, or the WHO, and it said that 97% of women across Britain have been sexually abused or like assaulted or whatever, or harassed, right? Now, they've ran with that figure. In fact, some of those videos that I uploaded regarding what we've just been on about, they mention it now. Like, there's all this shit, they keep bringing it up. They've been doing it since this study dropped. If anybody actually read the fucking study, uh, you would see quite clearly that the figure is quite skewed, because they were asking women, like there was a myriad of different ways that they could be sexually harassed, right? Including being stared at and stuff, right? Now, my idea of sexually harassing a woman is like not leaving her alone and like wanting her number, making her feel uncomfortable, or kind of, getting her pants or whatever. Not fucking staring at her from afar or whatever, but that could be enough to deem that woman, if she was part of that survey, right, she's been sexually harassed. But they're basically policy in the back of that nonsense. And just to conclude, like they're doing the same. They're now saying that like every boy, they say that gender inequality is another term that's been redefined, obviously, but it's all about the disparities, etc. So they claim that boys and girls are different purely on the basis of misogyny, stereotypes that are ingrained in nursery. So we need to go into the nurseries now, and we need to try and tackle that misogyny, get it out of the little boys' heads, while at the same time, giving the girls an additional leg up on top of the multiple legs up they've already got at this point. And I've always found it perplexing where they sit and talk about like there's a bit where they mentioned the campaign called the "Don't Be That Guy" campaign, which was some really gay campaign that came out a few years ago from Police Scotland, and it was like lecturing men not to be rapists.
Oh, that
Sure, there would have been a rapist that sat there watching that going, well, I'm going to go out and rape someone tonight, but I've changed my ways now, right? It's not how it fucking works. All you're doing is preaching to the choir, really, and the same is applicable in school. If you're going to go into school, your misogyny, education, etc., which they're planning, and teach all the fucking boys in the class how to behave around girls, kudos to you. You're preaching to the choir. But if, and the very small chance, if there is a little rapist in waiting in the back of the class, guess what? He's still going to rape someone because your stupid fucking lesson ain't going to change his mind.
oh, this will shock you. You're going to be totally shocked by this. That campaign started in America.
Oh, you're taking the piss. Like.
No, I'm not. This was not a Scottish idea. That "Don't Be That Guy" campaign started off in America, and
Yeah.
we we had quite a few memes that got totally obliterated off the internet for that, because we had took the pictures from the "Don't Be That Guy," and what it was I seen that she was alone, I seen that she was drunk, so I immediately took action. I stepped away, I walked away, and I went as far as I could, and so I did not get arrested. Don't be that guy. and the people around the campaign were very not pleased with us.
Fucking hell, God. Just not see that. I mean, even I remember when this first came out, I mean, getting lectured by a black guy. But don't be that guy who kills me. I mean, the statistics don't lie. I ain't that guy. But, you know, I'll just play this. It's only like a minute long, STV News. Just for anyone who's not seen this. And remember, folks, I mean, if there is somebody in the chat who's that way inclined, just come out. I want you to listen closely to this video. It might change your life here. It's just fucking nonsense. Don't be that guy. Here we go. Right.
Or compliment, like nice.
Was the end.
I went ahead and just showed her it.
You ever bought a lassie dinner and felt that meant she owed you something?
You ever got 3 shots in a row hoping you'd get a shot of her?
Then what? Bundled her wasted into a taxi and took her back to yours?
You ever guilt tripped her?
Or pressured her?
Or pushed her into it?
And then left feeling like a lad.
See, most men don't look in the mirror and see a problem. But it's staring us right in the face.
Sexual violence starts long before you think it does. Don't be that guy.
I can turn my mic on like that.
Hold on, what have I done?
Oh,
right.
my
hold on.
mic, my camera just turned on there. But
Yeah, for a minute there, I thought I took you out of the stream instead of the video. Oh, fuck, hold on.
what the fuck? Oh, but I think my mic
Right, that's it.
really-
Sorry, that was me being a dick. I done some boomer stuff. At the same time that campaign kicked off, there was a thing went into the universities where they taught boys, adolescent men not to rape people, and says if you're giving a girl a lift home, try to remember not to rape her. That was a honest thing. Like it's pure and utter bullshit.
Yes. But even in that clip there, like some of the shit they use as examples, like, have you ever asked for a girl's number? Like, I didn't realise that was sexual violence now, you know? Like, what the fuck? It's just hyperbole on steroids, really. But that would be fine in and of itself if they want to spout that shit. But it's like the fuck policy's been passed in the back of that now, you know? But it's just ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. But anyway.
Is there any difference to that? Did you see that video of that young lassie who was in a car in America and she's like pontificating to her phone, which must obviously always be on just so she can waffle on about how great she is, saying, and this guy was walking towards me. He hadn't said a word or done anything menacing. And I said, stop, don't you come towards me. Did you see that video of this deranged woman? Did you see that one?
No, don't think so.
Oh, I'll tell you now. You got to. Let me try and find it. I'll see if I can somehow share it. But yeah, she was literally deranged. This bloke didn't? And then she goes, oh, and then he was saying, "What's your problem, you bloody idiot," or whatnot. And he was like, "Is this the interaction level we now exist in between men and women, where a bloke you walking through a car park and you got some deranged woman?" And I think I don't even think it was real. I just think she was saying it for the kudos factor, you know, the feminist women's kudos factor, like artificial kudos factor.
Did you ever see the women's personal space devices?
No.
No, this thing, I swear to fuck, I shit you not. There was a time around about 2012, 2013, where it became a fad on undergrounds for young women to make up like a frame and stand in the middle of it and carry it along with them. And then that meant that people had to be X amount of inches away from them for their private space. And whenever the coof thing came about, I was thinking, fucking personal space barriers would go down well about now. It's absolutely nuts. But
Scotland, I'll just say this though, Scotland seems to be the sort of guinea pig, the lab rat country in this union. So, yeah, you've kind of got this shit to look forward to later on down the line. So, I'll just tell you now, guys, just don't be that guy, right?
mm-hmm.
Don't be that guy. Okay.
Well, the SNP being very hardcore feminist, they have people that's seeing all of this from around the world and they just decide to bring in all of it.
That's what I don't understand. Like the lecturers for all being, inherent rapists and waiting and misogynists, but yet they'll import Abdul and his 12 cousins called Abdul. And, we won't talk about what they have a tendency to do. That's fine because that's their culture. And we can't do that because that'd be racist. But as white men, it's like we're being lectured for the shit they do. What the fuck?
Yeah.
About raping, like in our wee gangs all across England and parts of Glasgow, raping wee girls. No, we're not doing that, but yet we need the police to tell us to not be that guy. What do you mean don't be that guy? What, the guy that doesn't eat fucking bacon? You know what I mean? But, it's tedious.
And then at the other end of that, you've got them wanting all sorts of sexual attention.
Well, that's another. You do get browbeaten for that. Like, I should be able to wear what I want. Well, if you're going to dress provocatively, you're going to attract attention. It's kind of the reason to do it. I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but it's the same as a guy that goes to the gym all the time. If he walks about bare-chested, he's wanting women to stare at him. It's pretty fucking obvious. Otherwise he wouldn't do it. And if we're going to go down that
shaking right now because I just had a man approach me in a parking lot, and
right, hold on, we'll get this back. Is this a video?
I'm literally shaking right now because I just had a man approach me in a parking lot, and it went fine. And I'm going to tell you why it went fine and how to address it, because it was in a book I read, and this is how you're supposed to address it. But it scared me. I'm literally shaking. So this guy, I'm alone with my son, by myself, a woman, and a male approached me in a parking lot. He's, "Excuse me, miss," and I don't know why in the hell he was approaching me or what he was trying to do. And before he was probably 30 feet from me when he said, "Excuse me, ma'am," and I turned around and I literally yelled at him and I said, "Do not approach me." And he immediately started going in the other direction, and I just kept saying it over and over and over. I said, "Do not approach me, do not approach me." And he, of course, got what the F, he started cussing and yelling, what's your problem? And I looked at him, and he actually then crossed a couple cars down from my car, and he didn't come anywhere near me. He crossed a couple cars down from my car and was like, continuing to cuss and say, "What's your problem?" And I said, "You do not approach women in a parking lot." I just kept saying, "Do not approach me. You do not approach women in a parking lot," yelling it. No male should ever approach a woman in a parking lot. Ever. No male should ever approach a woman in a parking lot. And if a male does approach you, you need to turn around and use the strongest voice that you can possibly use with them. Don't be polite. They need to literally screw off. No male should be approaching you in a parking lot.
Do you know, two things there. What is wrong with approaching a female in a parking lot in broad daylight? Okay, but I don't think it ever crosses their mind that they're part of the problem they claim that, they're determined to solve. This nonsense about a rape culture and whatnot.
Right.
They live in some sort of fanatical delusion where every man is a literal threat and you know, rape is rife, etc., etc., etc. And as a result, some of them will end up acting like that if she's not taking the piss. But there is people like her in real life, so it's hard to tell. But they create, you know what I mean? They're a product of the very problem they claim exists, like their own problem.
What's the odds that what happened next was she drove off and her handbag fell off the roof of her car?
I've seen a video of that before where there was a coffee in the top of a cup and the fucking guy.
Right, yeah. Oh well, that coffee in the top of the thing that was a setup. There was quite a few videos like that with people with women being followed and then there was something perfectly innocent, but they were staged to fuck. But here's one thing I will say. See 10, 15 years ago, if I was going down a road and there was a woman at the side of a car changing a wheel or something like that, I would have stopped the assist. And see now, no way, whack oops, because you have no idea what it is you're approaching. And see, unless you actually know the woman and know what way you're going to be received, I'm sorry, all that help's gone.
Yeah.
And the decent ladies, of whom there are some in this chat, that no longer get assistance from strangers, blame that bitch.
Fucking right. That's true. That's it. Like fucking, they go into their head somewhere down the track that, you know, every day is a potential threat. I mean, you even hear them saying shit. Some of them saying that like every day they experience misogyny and sexual harassment every day, and it's like, what do you mean? And then it'll be stupid shit like, oh, somebody looked at me, etc., etc. But this is what we're dealing with now. But as a result, though, they get it into their heads that life is really that hard, and the end product is a lassie sitting in her car panicking because a man approached her in a car park, probably, if real, tell her she dropped something or something. You know, simple as that. But
it's absolutely not. It beggars belief. And
schizophrenics having the delusions reaffirmed.
Yeah. It only seems to be getting worse. And
when you've got them making fucking laws to tackle the figments of their imagination, you know, we don't lose it.
Yeah. And then you know what he did after that? He held the door open for me. I mean, what an absolute disgrace.
You clearly should have watched that video. Don't be that guy. You know?
Yeah. Yeah, he would have knew exactly what not to do.
No, get pulled by a fucking black guy right at the start. Yeah, but look, that lassie. And then concludes at the end, like sexual harassment. No, sexual violence starts way before you think it. It'd be like looking at women. Was the equivalent of rape. Now, for fuck's sake. But,
see, here's the thing. Some woman could be standing on a train station, right underneath the bit that tells you which train's coming next. And apparently, every man and woman in the immediate 40 yards sexually assaulted her.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. I mean, can we not do the same thing, though? If you've ever worn joggers, of course, you'll probably have had a wee bulge, like, depending on whether or not it's cold. You know, caught lassie staring at my fucking jogger bulge before. Does that mean I've been sexually harassed? Or violated in some way? According to them, well, I suppose.
Yep. Dawn Brown said she read in a book, I don't believe it even happened. I wonder how many clicks she got on YouTube and whatever social media it was, and how many people went, "You go, girl, you're brilliant." Spread the word.
Like, I reckon the vast majority of the responses she got were quite the opposite to what you're saying. Like, you know, everybody in her real life would have said that to her, but
no. It would amaze you how many Captain Save-A-Hos there are online.
Sorry, what?
It would amaze you how many Captain Save-A-Hos there are online. That'll be simping over that all day.
Oh, yeah, of course, but on the grand scheme of things, that's very hard to defend.
Yeah.
You know, normies can side with that, but then a lot of people online are just cunts anyway, so they don't like feminists, you know, think Gamergate, etc. So. I'd like to find the original video and see what. I bet the comments are disabled now, really. And each and every single one of them would have been misogynistic and violent in nature. Don't be that guy, guys. Don't be that guy, be trans. You didn't have a job, he said something. Be very quiet tonight. Like, don't worry, I told the chat where you were before you came on, so it's fine. They know where you were.
I've been interacting with the chat, unlike you pair of lightweights. I actually, whilst you were waffling on, I'm interacting with the chat. It's a great mileage in the chat. You get to hear all the great stuff. That's why I tend to stay there, you know what I mean?
Fair enough. I'm just missing out.
Right. Well, then, right. Have you any more on that sort of subject, DJ? You want to go to, or we'll go to something else?
I think we're fucking being too misogynistic for what they like.
Right.
I don't know if Susan's Indian replacement will have something to say if we keep going down this trajectory. So.
Yep. I think what we'll go to is a little more about the Northern Ireland interaction.
Right.
Our terrace level has been increased in this little neck of the woods. Apparently they're getting a bit worried about what's happening. I want to see what this looks like in the StreamYard because it looks very large. Well,
looks alright in my end.
Yep. The terrorism threat level in Northern Ireland has been raised from substantial to severe, meaning an attack is highly likely. The move is based on MI5 intelligence assessment following a rise in dissident Republican activity, including a recent gun attack on a top police officer. That's where they shot that guy with a shotgun and at a sporting event. He was coaching kids, and at the end of it, they rocked up and shot him. It reverses the downgrade in Northern Ireland's terror threat level last March, its first change in 12 years, and was announced in Northern Ireland Secretary Chris Heaton-Harris. MI5, UK's security service, is believed to review the threat level every 6 months. The terrorism threat level remains substantial in the rest of the UK, meaning an attack is a strong possibility. The threat levels are designed to give an indication of the likelihood of a terrorist attack, and there are 5 rankings ranging from low to critical. Severe is the one below critical, meaning that an attack is expected immediately. In a written statement, the MPs, Mr. Heaton-Harris said, the public should remain vigilant but not be alarmed and continue to report any concerns they have to the police services of Northern Ireland. PSNI Chief Constable Simon Brown said that the force would relentlessly pursue those who sneak to cause harm and terrorise our communities and attack my officers and staff. The chairman of Police Federation Northern Ireland, Liam Keeley, said the escalation of the threat level was justified and that no one should be surprised. Mr. Keeley added that it might be reasonable to ask why the level was downgraded to substantial in March. It is clear that dissident Republican groups are still actively, I think that should be willing to cause murder and destruction. So that's a overview of what's happening. This is coming on the heels of the whole Brexit and the Brexit deal, the Windsor framework. They seem quite worried about the Republicans doing something. They do not at all seem alarmed that there has been posters went up across all the loyalist areas, or all the unionist areas in Belfast saying that a return to violence was far from impossible, and they also, in their assessment and their reasoning for it, they ignored that there is currently some form of a feud and factions going on within the Protestant paramilitaries. We've had pipe bombs, we've had people beaten up and attacked and whatnot. It's all going a little bit mad. So there you go.
I heard this on the radio last week. They didn't really have very much to say. It was just sort of been passing news. I was sort of intrigued to get your take on it. Like, what?
It's well, the big thing is that they're saying the people behind that attack on the cop is the new IRA. Now, what they're failing to say is that before they were the new IRA, the same people were members of the Provisional Irish Republican Army. But
So is that their way of trying to sort of take the heat off Sinn Féin? Like, you know, like, no, we're not associated with them type of thing.
Yeah, Sinn Féin are saying it's nothing to do with it. From the DNR of the peace agreement, the Provisional Irish Republican Army, who are Sinn Féin, they did not give up their weapons. They didn't put them in for decommissioning. And every time that there has been a gun attack or whatever from the apparently new Irish Republican Army, that's nothing to do with Sinn Féin, nothing to do with the old one, have used the same weapons that they had cached while they were Provisional Irish Republican Army. And this is Sinn Féin's workaround. So where they had one group, they have now got 2/3. Sinn Féin's purely political, although it is believed they still sit on the Army Council and are running the terrorist threat, or at least have a large degree of input into it. The dissidents, the so-called dissidents, they were all Provisional Irish Republican Army whenever it split, and one would question that if Sinn Féin really wanted those people not to be there, why they didn't just tell the police who the fuck they are, because they know. But to all intents and purposes, I believe it is just it's a change of cap badge and a workaround to allow the violence to continue and to keep the Sinn Féin lost leverage whenever they stopped the violence, but they retained the leverage because they still have a armed and organized violent organization behind them.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know the ins and outs, but it sort of sets us in a sense for them to be able to come out and say, "Oh, it wasn't anything to do with us; it was a new version of us." Like, they didn't come out at all at any point to claim that they were the perpetrators and they were Sinn Féin to begin with.
No, from the onset, Sinn Féin have said that the dissidents have got absolutely nothing to do with us, and in fact, the dissidents want us dead. Now, where it becomes incredibly interesting is that's 25 years the dissidents have wanted the Sinn Féin members dead, and the Sinn Féin members are all still alive, and you do not have that survival rate for everybody in your organization if a paramilitary organization do not want you to be there.
Just out of interest, just how much of this has been influenced by that the Windsor Agreement?
There's been an uptake,
which is an absolute disgrace, in my opinion. We should have just told the Republic to fuck off, and if you want a hard border, fuck it, we'll put one in. And I know it may be PC, but unfortunately, you know, we're not part of the fucking useless EU anymore, so fuck them. You know.
Well, see, every time Sinn Féin wants something and it looks like they're not going to get it, somebody gets shot. Nothing to do with him, but so there's some form of violence happens, and then everybody rolls over and they get what they asked for because we don't want to return to the bad old days. Although I think it's not going to work for them just as well this time because the loyalist and unionist paramilitaries have said if you cave on this, we're starting shit. And everybody in the unionist and royalist area know that things are getting ready for heating up. And also, if the DUP back down on this one, they're finished as a political party. DUP's Democratic Unionist Party. They would be the largest unionist political party. And if they back down on this one, they are done because they will not get votes again.
But this is literally it, isn't it? The Windsor Agreement basically shits on Northern Ireland, you know,
Yep.
especially if you're a nationalist.
Well, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter which way you are. In Northern Ireland, the nationalists would be classed as an Irish nationalist that wants the removal of the border. It's a quirk of language. So you would have unionists and nationalists, and union would want to stay part of the union with Great Britain and Northern Ireland, and the nationalists want that border taken away. Northern Ireland to be adopted into an all Ireland setting. It's the agreement is a clusterfuck. I think it's really quite simple. If you want to send goods to the Republic of Ireland from mainland UK, mainland Great Britain, you put them on a boat that docks in the Republic of Ireland. If you want to send them to Northern Ireland, you put them on a boat that docks in Northern Ireland. It's really not that difficult.
No. But they're making it that difficult because they want it to be difficult because every single fucking traitor in that bastard Westminster are all for, you know, they were the Remoaners. You know, not one of them wanted to leave the EU. So they're trying all sorts to inveigle the way in. But we're apparently going to be signing some compact with the likes of other world treaties like India and Brazil and that, which would mean that there's no way on this earth of fullers that we could ever go back into the EU, not unless the EU either acquiesce to all of the various trade agreements that are going on with regards to that CPACT or whatever it's called that we're doing, or vice versa, all of those countries like Brazil, India, decide that they're going to toe the line with EU regulations, which they're never going to do. Yeah. So why they're still bashing this dead horse is beyond me because, you know, we've left unlucky, fuck you.
Well, another interesting thing is the EU may not be the EU this time next year because the current thing that they're fucking about with the European Union is sending a peacekeeping force to Ukraine. And they're going to be wanting Eastern Europeans and probably some Northern Europeans to provide that peacekeeping force from their army. And that's going to cause all sorts of a shitstorm because Germany do not want a Polish army in Ukraine. Hungary will not go into Ukraine. Italy will not go into Ukraine. I'm very glad that Great Britain is not officially in the EU anymore because I don't want our soldiers in Ukraine. I think that's something Russia and Ukraine need to sort out between themselves. But this could be the one that actually breaks the EU apart. Anybody?
All I say is I hope so, because it's a fucking disaster of a thing anyway. I mean, when you look at well, every single thing that the EU is just, once again, it's just global hegemony. It's just pushing every single global narrative going. So it is, why do we want to have this EU thing? Just disband it altogether and have your global new world order, because that's what you're heading towards. But it's like every once again, last Sunday when I was doing my stream that got a strike for quoting medical fact. But the first article I did was DJ's favouriteest bloke, Antonio Gutierrez, otherwise known as that fat cunt.
Portuguese, but
they're pushing now for the Western nations, the developed Western nations, to scrap 2050 and to now make that 2040, and even said some countries are going to try for 2035. And this is because all of these organizations know that their narratives are crumbling like Cheshire cheese, and so they're trying to get these things to accelerate because they know that if they don't make it through the next 3 to 5 years with their plans, it's just going to disintegrate. And part of that is going to be the EU. I mean, it just literally is. And as we mentioned on Bonnie Lad's stream earlier, they can wax lyrical about all of this bullshit, like, trans bullshit and Donald Trump and all this bullshit in the States and whatnot. But it's basically hiding the fact that the American economy is going into fucking freefall spiral downwards. Most of the other westernized countries are directly or indirectly linked to that spiraling decay, and so they're trying every single thing under the sun to extract as much wealth, if you like, the whatever amount of wealth is left in fiat currency, which is diminishing by the hour, to try and drag that into as much globalism and private enterprise to translate that into physical, tangible assets like gold, land, properties, whatever. Because, like I say, it's the dollar's going to collapse, and those economies which are linked to the dollar is going to collapse alongside them. And unfortunately, people say, oh, the euro is stronger than the dollar. The euro is linked to the dollar. So if the dollar collapses, guess what? Your euro fucks as well. It's literally that simple. Now, we are linked to the dollar, but we're nowhere near in the same state. I mean, it'll be disastrous for us, but we're nowhere near in the same state as the EU. And like I say, watch this space, because whilst you've got Joe Biden licking an ice cream, I got myself some chocolate chip ice cream. Yeah, got myself some fly chocolate chip ice cream. What about those murders that happened in Nashville? Huh? What? I'm eating some chocolate chip ice cream. So you've got that idiot there, bloody, whichever actor they've got playing him this week. And you've got von der Leyen back in the EU, and they know they've shit it. They've shit it completely, because every single thing that they've done, particularly in relationship with Bitchute. So, like I say, they wanted to transfer the transfer of wealth, so to speak, away from Big Pharma. So let's annex all the wealth via Big Pharma, because that's becoming a busted flush now. To let's annex all of the public purse wealth via the new forever war in Eastern Europe. And they've literally shit the boat. Like I say, they've got all these stories, all these narratives coming out about how it was some splinter group from Ukraine who blew up Nord Stream 2. The German people are just not buying it anymore. They're rioting. The French people are rioting. Everybody should be rioting against their horrendous fifth column governments, the criminal class, as I call them now. They just literally are traitors. Not one of them. You name me one government in the West that's fit for purpose. None. None whatsoever. They're all criminals. They should be ejected from their power base. Unbelievable.
Perhaps Hungary. Well, Hungary's pretty much east, but they're in the EU. But I would say that if I had to choose,
yeah, but you say that, and that's Orban's lot, and I do agree with a lot of what Orban says. But don't get me wrong. Orban was also jab me up, Scotty. You know, so no, he's not our guy.
Pretty much the best of a bad bunch.
And once again, you could say the same about that pretty lassie Giorgia Meloni in Italy. Are we going to stop all these boats? Once again, just like the Tories. It's never been fucking higher in Italy, has it? These dinghy divers getting into Italy.
Is a few years ago, he even attended a conference in Budapest. Tony Abbott, the ex-Australian Prime Minister, was there. I don't know what other countries, Serbia or somewhere else, and it was about demography. And quite a lot of the talking points that you would expect to hear in some sort of fringe stream were said at that event. So I know he's no our guy in the sense that he's shilled for the jibby jabby like the president did. And to be honest, in my opinion, to get to that position of power, you have to be to some degree controlled. But the fact he went to our conference to speak explicitly about demography and whatnot, can't fault him for that.
Yeah, well, the thing is, people get quite irrational about things like demography and that because, they believe that all of a sudden, overnight, your leaders could become foreigners. And we, as we can see in this country alone, that just doesn't happen.
Well, the other problem is all of our leaders have been elected by the great British public.
Well, I can't wait for the next election so I can vote for Humza Yousaf. I think he's a great man, to be honest. I think I can really get behind his policies.
But the problem is to get in the assembly and be eligible for the job, people have to vote for him. Our problem isn't just that we've got bad politicians; we've got a dumb electorate.
I mean, it's funny watching the Addicts in Scotland anyway, how every single day of measly existence of that tin pot parliament, it's always the same, irrespective of what the issue of the day is, It's always the Tories blame Westminster, right? Now, when Boris Johnson and his wee Partygate shit started, he needs to resign, he needs to stand down. The minute he did, we need a general election. We need a general election. It's fascism because they won't have a general election. Fucking Mary Black stood in Westminster and said that the Tories were fascists and all this shit nonsense, right? Self-proclaimed socialist Mary Black, who looks like a tranny, said that they were fascists, right? So blah blah blah. Then we had Liz Truss, right? She lasted fucking a week, and then she stepped down. We need a general election. We need a general election. Whenever she gets in, etc. etc. Fast forward to where we are now. Humza Yousaf gets in. No can't vote for him. Silence.
No, well,
that works.
No, the thing about it is, people did vote for him to get into the actual assembly. We do not vote for the way our political system is. We vote for individual candidates. Those candidates form a government, and the government chooses a leader. Now, as much as nobody voted for, it was only the SNP that voted for him to be the leader. The general public voted for him to get into the assembly. It's it's not as cut and dried that nobody voted for him as what they did. And see, come the next election, he'll be voted into power again as the leader of the SNP, because our fucking lemons of an electorate will just go ahead and vote in whoever fucking voted in the last time. I think we really need to all vote. As a country, everybody that doesn't vote needs to vote in the Monster Raven Rooney Party, and we'll maybe give them a shake up, and the politicians might start being sensible.
Wow. I think part of the reason in Scotland anyway that we'll have a general election right now is because like the SNP are the most fragile that they've ever been, like in recent memory anyway. Like obviously the vast majority of like the people, I should say, not even like SNP members may I add, who have been hemorrhaging as of late, 30k in the last month, about 40 or 50k since 2019 they've lost. But the vast majority of the public didn't want the gender stuff, but they just shoehorned it in anyway. There was barely any difference really between Kate Forbes and Hamza Yousaf when it came to the members voting. And then within a fucking day of him getting in, he offers her a job in the cabinet, like a total blatant demotion. And okay, there's arguments to be made that, right, oh, wasn't a demotion, etc., etc. I don't really give a fuck, but that's how it looks. And she allegedly told him to ran it. There was also talk, I've seen it on Telegram about 10, 20 minutes ago, there's also talk, there's about 15 or 16 rebel SNPs, politicians that are about to stick their head above the parapet. Like, Hamza Yousaf's not a popular man. That clip's going viral of him now as well, the anti-white shit. Like, this is a guy who everybody, irrespective of your politics, everybody thinks he's fucking racist, right? Everybody thinks he's a prick. He's blatantly just there to replace Sturgeon and, do her bidding. And that's why he was called the continuity candidate. And then on top of that as well, fucking, I was going to say,
the inquiries into the money.
Oh, aye, that's all going on as well. That's still taking place. Like, the party's in a bit of shit right now. Like, nobody can agree on anything. Like, he's just, I don't know. So I think if there was a general election, I think they'd still win, in all honesty, because the rest of the opposition in Scotland are a bunch of shit, really. But Labour have got a good chance of pinching some seats off them. So, but what a great set of affairs it is in Scotland, where the two political juggernauts fighting for the population in Scottish politics will be Anas Sarwar and Hamza Yousaf, two Pakistani men from literally the same part of Pakistan in Scotland.
Oh.
So, yeah, they grew up together, they're friends. Friends for life, bro.
Oh. Madness.
Yeah.
Well, on a new subject, do you remember we introduced you to women making money from farting in the jars and selling them?
Oh, God's sake, whatever you found, I don't want to know. Sounds horrendous already.
Right. Yeah, I've found a... have you ever heard of performance art?
No, well, yeah, I've heard of, what you mean, like mime or something?
No, this is where you make art and also do a performance at the same time.
Well, that's mime, isn't it? I thought that was mime.
No, it's not
Oh,
quite.
please. Oh, no, plop egg. I'm looking at that already.
Yeah, hold on. Just find a window that's...
I mean, I'll tell you now, right, if this is, you could get a strike if this is even too racy for bloody YouTube.
No, well, it's on a YouTube video.
Well, that makes fucking sense. Yeah.
Oh.
What in the blue Jesus is that? She's in the nud. Poor bugger, she must be freezing.
Yeah.
Oh, it's getting screenshotted, like, oh shit, don't be that guy.
Look at that. She's even got the bloody, she looks like the bloody ace of spades. She's even got the diamond out. Look at that.
Yeah.
Oh, she's not taking a shit.
No. She's got little eggs inside her that drop paint.
No. Oh, this is wrong. Where's this? Oh, for fuck's sake. Where is this?
I'll dig.
Look at him with his beret on there. He can't get enough of it, can he? He's not even shooting the art. He's shooting a blart.
Right, fucking zoomed in on it.
Look at that. There's a pebble of shit on that one as well. Oh, dirty bastard.
Right. We'll drop that out. And I'll
she's a pretty and everything. Why are you moving the covers away? Oh, for God's sake. Cover the lassie up, for God's sake. Jeez. Look at him there in the berries there again, isn't he? Look at him deviant. Fucking
but-
lecture this fucker.
No, but he's her photographer. Right, I'll get the. I'll just grab the article for it.
Oh, God's sake.
Uh,
I mean, there's just that's not art. That's just an exhibition, and it's like, you know, it's done. It's done literally for titillation purposes. That's all that is. That's not art.
right, hold on. Get the share up. 1 second. Well, apparently, yeah, performance artist Milo Murray creates abstract paintings by pushing eggs filled with paint and ink out of her vaginal canal. She does this while standing naked in front of an audience. The nudity apparently is artistically essential. As for the act of pushing paint-filled eggs out of her body, as you no doubt perceive, is a powerful feminist statement about women, fertility, and creativity. What do you think, lads?
So where were they coming out from? A bum or a
No, her
thingy?
vagina.
Oh,
Right,
that makes,
and
somehow that makes it even worse.
right, and the sheet thing is so as you can't see her actually inserting them. You just get to see her laying the eggs, as it were.
Oh,
It really makes that much of a difference. Fucking hell. You're not exactly leaving much to the imagination, so why not just go whole hog?
oh,
Yeah.
I'll tell you what.
I'm gonna have to find the uncensored version of that, but I'm very curious now.
Well, that's your deviant nature, isn't it? And in the chat, Toffee's there going, "Oh yeah, because you're well up for this." No, I'm
Hey,
it's
fucking
repulsive.
it. Got it in another tab, too.
No, don't put it up in another tab.
I think it's just, you know, in all honesty, it's one of those things, like art these days, it's just fucking nonsense, really. I know things are subjective and whatnot, but we really are scraping the barrel. I mean, that's not art.
This is what comes out of art school.
Yeah. It's not that engaged, but it's fucking.
It's just
It's very strange how it flies in the face of that video we played at the start. But don't be that guy thing. Like, like, well, she's standing in a fucking bath. Like, are they not all sexually harassing her just by looking in her direction while she displays her art? No. So there's an element of inconsistency here with narratives. I don't know what to believe.
Rory Herbert, can't you push out an ostrich egg? Yeah, but 1 second, I need the cough here.
I actually picked red paint as well.
Yeah, but at one end, just looking at that is obviously objectification, but because she's decided to do it, it's empowering and powerful.
Yeah, stunning and brave and all that shit.
Yep.
yeah.
This also comes out of the same feminist movement that creates the madness that DJ brought up earlier about the misogyny bill in Scotland.
Yeah.
You know, so if you're wondering why none of it seems to make sense, it's because it can't.
No.
Because it has so many opposing opinions that it's impossible for it to make sense.
Yeah. And it just goes to show, though, that the supposed opposition when it comes to politics, though, like political parties, etc., they could easily derail these movements in their entirety and stop any more policies be built on the back of them by simply challenging them. But they don't. They just sit there and allow it. Like, It's not like they're coming away with convincing and compelling arguments that are, need to debunk facts and logic. Like, none of the stuff they say makes sense, and some of the stuff they say contradicts other shit they say. But yet their opposition, what do? Nothing. Nothing. So I don't know.
No, Toffee said he makes amazing art around his toilet bowl every morning. But Toffee, what you don't realise is if you just get a clean toilet and carry it into a modern art exhibition and call it a fountain, you'll probably win the prize. Although, to be fair, that was done before. And we ended up teaching women in Afghanistan all about that art whenever we give them universities and stuff, because that's obviously a thing to teach them.
But you could have the old Guinness combined with Vindaloo escapade in the morning and call that a flock of seagulls or a flock of sparrows.
Yes, you could
present that.
You 100% could. The art isn't made art by the actual image itself. It's the essay that you put beside that explains it.
No.
That's what makes it art. And
bullshit, right?
It's all in Billy Go backwards language, and it's all invented and made up. So you could literally do anything.
Yeah.
And then you compare that to something like a Sistine Chapel.
Well, once again, it makes a mockery of what, when we talk about high art, in other words, the traditional art that looks like the representation of things that it's supposed to be portraying, then, you're the old fuddy-duddy, you're this. Look at this splotch here on the floor with a pebble of fucking shit and period on it or whatever. This is high art now. It's like, no, it's just a splash on a bit of canvas with old Beret Boy having a quick wank while taking a few photos. It means nothing.
Yeah. Well, was she not making high art? Because she was quite a bit off the ground whenever she was doing it.
Well, high in the physical sense, yeah, but no. I mean, the only thing, like I say, the only person who in there was that Gadji in the beret, and he wasn't photographing the art, was he? He was clearly photographing a blart. He was. Well, put it this way: the images that he would publish, if he did publish them, you could read the lips and not on her face.
Yeah, but here's the thing: he's the photographer that she brought to take the photographs of her actually doing it. And then whenever the thing's completed, they can take the photographs of the actual art.
I give up. Where was that anyway? Was it in France or somewhere? Looked a bit France to me. Where was it?
I can't remember, but she takes that on tour.
Jesus, it's like what's it called? Sticky Vicky or whatever down in Spain. Heard of that one?
But because Sticky Vicky's doing a striptease, it's
difference is though, people go to see her, whereas this lass is just fucking rocking up from town squares and making periods in front of everybody. You don't mean to tell me that she's in demand,
Yeah,
her agent's on the phone every day saying, "Oh, by the way, Jennifer, they're wanting you to come to Munich tomorrow to shit all over the town hall." Like, whereas it's a bit of a different story. You and the boys, fuck it, we go and see it. You know what I mean? See if she can take songs in my beer. It's a bit of a different spot too. Come on now.
Yeah, but because a striptease artist is doing a striptease and getting male attention and money for it, that's wrong and bad and degenerate. She's just making art and happens to need to be naked to do it. It's totally different.
Yes.
She's not. She's definitely not an attention-seeking fucking psycho bitch.
Somebody said it's Germany. Fuck me. Are they going back to Weimar? They're going back to Weimar, aren't they? Jesus. I mean, come on.
Oh, we've got a vote of no confidence in the stream.
Yeah, you got my vote, mate.
Don't be that guy. Right?
Yep. Don't worry, Sansom. I'll come up with something for you next month as well.
No, don't. It was only because of my misbelief, and you two fucking laughing. Now you've got Toffee going, oh yeah, Sensome's mad for it, isn't he? You know, he's fucking loves a bit of the degen. I didn't even know such shit. Like I say, I said to you lot, there was that bird, what's her name, dolphin or whatever.
Yep, solar bathwater.
Google that
Yeah,
one.
sells a filthy bathwater, and then you come out with, sells a farts.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, I can't believe that. And sure enough, it is. Now we've got some, in fairness, pretty lady pumping out bloody
Eggs.
paint eggs out of her chuff.
You don't know if she had a cock or not. It was blood.
I'm pretty sure. Well,
You
I'll tell you
know,
what, right? I'll tell you what. If that was the case, I'd take a risk on that tranny. If that was the case, I've always maintained I don't want any interaction with a trans woman, and it's not because I'm a bigot. Unless I'm burning to death in a fire and they send a woman firewoman in. In that case, I want it to be a trans woman. Happy Easter. Yeah, Easter eggs. Yeah, fucking. Was that the message? Was that supposed to be the message?
No, it wasn't.
Easter.
It's just it's a serendipity, a happy coincidence.
Come on. I mean, it's
Is
just.
it because, now hear me out here, now I don't know if this phenomenon actually exists anywhere apart from Scotland, because if you hadn't, the Scottish government preached to no end about, what's it? Fucking period. Oh, I'll have to get the name of that.
Period poverty.
That, but the stigma, period stigma.
Period stigma and
Stigma is attached to periods. Men and, well, everybody in general, they look at periods with disdain. So, is that what she's doing? Is she trying to empower her fellow women by shitting on them?
That would be the free bleeders.
Oh.
You have heard of the free bleeders, haven't you?
I mean, I'll wake up tomorrow morning and change my mind, to be honest. You know, all that stigmatizing, I directed towards periods and whatnot. I see it differently.
Sansom, have you heard about the free bleeders?
What?
The free bleeders.
I have no idea what that means, mate.
Well, do you know the way?
Virgins when it goes to fucking neck.
No. Do you know the way, like, normal women, whenever they have their period, they use sanitary products?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, the free bleeders don't. They just let the blood go.
You go, girl.
Yep.
More power.
And there was a strong debate going about for a while, in 2014, 2015, that the phenomenon was a 4chan troll until some woman ran the marathon while free bleeding.
Okay.
God.
And what did that achieve? Fuck off.
Fuck off. But it was another step along the line to the free period products.
In fairness, though, I don't really have an issue with helping out poorer children, especially girls.
No, but let me just stop you there. Like, you get fucking cheap tampons for like 12p. Like, this, it's just a joke to insinuate that nobody can afford that.
I don't have a problem with the. Well, let's just say I had an experience way back of somebody who, was in financial, well, one of those financial things, but I don't, like I say, it's one of those things where it can be abused and taken the piss out of, but if there's a kiddie whose parents are not well off or whatever, you wouldn't want them to be...
Even when they were trying to justify it here in Scotland before it was implemented, they used an example like that, because that's a sort of example normal people could say.
Yeah, but it's they steal...
Well, it should be free because it's a human right.
No.
hold on.
Nonsense. The amount of women I've spoken to who have said to me in the past, like, if need be, emergency, worst case scenario, they just use a tissue or something. Like, but you do get cheap tampons and shit for like 12p in Tesco's, etc. But the way the S&P were going on, you would think they'd cost you 20 quid for a fucking box. Like, it's just ridiculous.
Can I just put an advertisement out here for Tesco's? Because if you go to the information desk at Tesco's and ask for a period bag, you'll be given what you need for free.
Well, that's fair enough, because I don't. We take the piss all the time, but there are some occasions where I've known families who have been very poor and.
Don't get me wrong, so was I. I was one of the, before they implemented it for every kid, I was one of the kids that used to get free school meals and shit. I'm not despising people that are poor, but it was the way that they presented the concept. Like, it was just ridiculous. Like everything else.
No, I like I say, I'm because it's one of those things where you can take the piss, but the problem is that the system will steel man the straw man argument, but there are still those very, very rare occasions where that is a thing. And in fairness, at my school, because you've got to think on, I was at school in the 80s, so the sort of high school was. Go on.
I need to do a quick correction. You go to the information desk at Tesco's and ask them for a white envelope, and they will give you free period products. And I don't think any woman in Great Britain and Northern Ireland should currently be paying for their products because Tesco's want to give them for free. And I would urge every woman to make that the most widely participated in promotion that Tesco's has ever done.
Well, like I say, I only can talk from somebody who I actually knew back in the day in the 80s and that. And essentially what happened was the teachers, the lady teachers sort of, and this was years later, but the lady teachers sort of helped out, shall we say. So I wouldn't want to see, and this was a young lady who was, a friend of mine, and she was really very, like I say, being poor it's not selective, it's not like something you get given with, but she was such a lovely girl, and she was so clever and everything, but just happened to be poor. Poor's not being a fucking crime, is it? And that was just like I say, the teachers in our school sort of helped out a little bit, and like I say, you can't. I wouldn't. It doesn't matter who the girl is, whatever background or whatever. But I would, like I say, there's a world of difference between them feeling uncomfortable, or basically what was happening was wouldn't want to turn up to school because of such kind of things. And this is in the 80s, like I say. This is a world apart from the shit we have to put up with now. And it's also a world apart where you've got bloody deviants pretending to be women who are shoving frozen bloody
popsicles,
tomato juice up their asses and pretending it's a bloody period sort of thing.
On top of that, these free tampons in the boys' toilets in schools now as well. So
You what?
Yeah.
Where in Scotland?
Like the boys' toilets as well in a lot of schools. So,
well, hold on a minute. So boys' toilets in Scotland have got women's thingies in them.
A lot of them do, yeah, because obviously,
not
obviously women have periods,
Well, what's going to happen there is that all the boys are just going to go in, ransack the stash, and just fucking chuck them down the bogs and make fun out of them or do whatever. So that's a perfectly fucking thankless task anyway.
Scotland for you. Fucking joke.
Yeah.
They go one worse than that in Scotland. There's been multiple different examples, including Culloden and Carnaby, where during the summer holidays or a winter break or whatever, they'd come back and there'd be new toilets that were gender neutral. Like they got rid of the fucking toilets, and they did it in a primary school here, and then they did it at Culloden and Carnaby. They got rid of the toilets and replaced them with gender neutral ones. No parent knew or anything. The kids just walked in, and that's what it was. Why? For progression. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just like I say, for me, that particular, I'd be all on board with it. Helping out poorer kids for that kind of thing, and not just the girls, but there are other things as well. But you just know it's a piss take, and it's just another slow march along the communist tract, so to speak, and it actually nullifies any form of decency that the original pretense of what it was intended for actually
That's the thing,
means
though. I don't
anymore.
think it was initially intended with good intentions because it was derivative of the usual shit that all women's lives are exceptionally hard. Like, honestly, they've been saying this shit for years. It was like one of the main talking points in the early years of Spurgeon's tenure in power. Like, yeah, okay, there's obviously examples of people that are impoverished and can't afford certain things and whatnot. I'm not against that, coming from a poor background myself, but like, it's just the fact that it doesn't matter where you came from, what your background was. If you're a woman, if you've got a pair of tits, your life's horrible, hard, and you're held back. So here's a free tampon for you to make you feel a bit better about your day. Like, it's just one of those things. Like, God given human rights to give them a free tampon because you're a woman.
It's also another thing that the government can spend money on and virtue signal on.
They brag about it now to this day. Like, you hear it often, like, oh, we're so progressive here. Like, they'll stand in Parliament and say, you don't see that there in Westminster, do you? That's free period products for the lassies. But oh yeah, that's really your biggest selling point. A country's going to shit, but at least Sonia can shove in a free thing for free. So every cloud and all that.
Yep.
Yeah, it's the kind of thing that you want the government to do, but not bloody boast about, isn't it? It's
Exactly.
Just the common decency
a big,
sort of
massive
thing.
fucking campaign to brag and pat themselves on the back.
Yeah. Which once again is wrong in its own right, anyway.
It reminds you of somebody that makes a small donation to a charity and puts it on their Facebook, Twitter. Were you doing it to actually help the people, or were you doing it to say that you've helped the people?
Or people that help the homeless and take photos of them helping the homeless.
This is no different to the biblical story of the poor beggar woman, isn't it? Where you've got the old tax collector or whatever, waltzes out of the synagogue and got a wad of notes or whatever, bunch of gold coins, whatever, sticks them in the pot and's going, yeah, look at me, how generous I am to the church, sort of thing, or the synagogue or whatever. And then you've got this poor old beggar woman, doesn't say boo to a goose, and puts like a little arm, means nothing, worth the square root of fuck all. And you've got old Jesus there, and he's saying, you see that there? That poor woman, that costs her 10 times more than old matey boy, the tax collector there. And she did it without any kind of, ceremony or anything. And that's the kind of thing that, this is where I get exasperated with the state of the Christian church across the board, whether Catholic or Protestant or anywhere in between, is because every single thing that inveigles the Christian church these days has always got an edge of virtue signaling and some kind of message and all this, and they never seem to do anything just for the sake of doing good anymore. And that's why I think it's a hateful organization, and that's why I don't believe in the modern era why any of the churches are a force for good anymore, even though I like to frame things in terms of good and evil. And I now currently think that the Roman Catholic Church and all of the other, the Anglican and all the denominations in between are equally evil. In fact, in the 1970s, the Catholic Church had a little bit of a minor split, and a group of Catholics split off in Spain, believe it or not. I think it's in Andalusia, the Church of the Palmarians, the Palmarian Church, because they didn't agree with the way that the Catholic Church was going then. And at the time, it was like this minuscule fringe thing, and it's a beautiful church. If you've ever seen the Church of the Palmarians, it's a beautiful cathedral. And now I'm thinking to myself, they were fucking dead right. I'm not a Catholic, I'm a Church of England, but if I was a Christian now, I'd be looking towards the Church of the Palmarians, not the fucking Holy Roman Church, put it that way.
Yeah. The problem is, see, if your religion changes with the time, you don't have a religion.
Well, the Palmarians wouldn't do it.
Yep.
That's why they stayed the way they stayed true to their faith.
Yeah. This is your choice. Either now, don't get me wrong, I think there is place for a bit of movement within churches, but not on, you can change small bits here and there, but you can't change the major fucking issues. Like this is where the gay wedding thing gets me, because a wedding is a covenant between a man, a woman, and God, and that don't work with two men or two women, and the difference between a marriage and a wedding and all of that sort of thing. But it's, if your church is changing to accommodate society, and society has fallen, you no longer have a church. You've got a club.
I agree 100%, but like I say, if I was that way inclined, because I'm a religion of one now, I was a religion of two when my dad was still alive, but I'm a religion of one now. But if I was that way inclined, I think I would be looking, like I say, I would be looking towards the Palmarian Church more than the Vatican these days. The Vatican's been compromised for a long time, put it that way.
Yeah.
Well, here in Scotland, we're all planning to. Here I'm planning a trip to Punjab soon to my first session praying 5 times a day. I want to be at one with Hamza. So you do your thing. Coffee can do his paganism. I'll be flying to Islam. Peace be upon you, my brother, Muhammad.
Here, DJ, you see of the links you sent through on the Telegram chat. Which one do you want up next?
Well, back in. Let me see.
You've got
Thomas. Like one picture was just, I don't know what to show that, but it was just a fuck off plane. I couldn't believe it. But there's a 1 minute and 30-second video on my YouTube channel, basically coming out straight away to say anybody can be Scottish. It's like fuck off. Then you've got the boxer who never said anything untoward whatsoever, but he's been lambasted all across media for being a racist. I think that was covered a wee bit last night on the stream you did with Toffee. I only caught a lot of half of that, but I've seen it. And then obviously the one below that, it's like you've seen so many of these articles now where they're saying, this is the start, this is a sign of time, a sign of change, etc. What we see brown, he's a Muslim. So, I mean, entirely up to you, but you were a couple. But look at that. Like, in the fucking tweet, by the way, is even worse. Like, that's just the photo. I shared the tweet somewhere the other day. Where the fuck is it? It's unbelievable what he fucking says, the little bastard. Like, it's just mockery. He goes, where the fuck is it? It should be up here. Oh, he goes, my family and I are spending our first night in Butte House after today's parliamentary votes. A special moment leading my family in prayer in Butte House, as is customary, after breaking fast together, as is customary. You're in Scotland? That's not customary in our parliament. Like, if I was a fucking, like, diehard Christian, if Kate Forbes got in and she was sat there praying with a bunch of bishops or whatever, guaranteed the best time to say, it's fine for him to just take the fucking piss. That is taking the piss. That is like, you could make the argument that he's tried to exert some form of dominance, like this is Islam taking over. And to be quite fucking honest, hard to argue against that at this point. What's he doing?
Well, I got another question.
Is the camera going to pan and he's burning snow tires and replacing with Pakistani flags? Like, what is he fucking doing?
I always thought Muslims prayed on their knees facing Mecca.
Yeah, and they also don't wear fucking hair gel, but Hamza Yusuf does.
Right, yes, but so he's obviously not praying properly.
No, exactly. That it appears to me as a mockery. It's I get it right up here, you white bastards.
Yeah, that's a staged photo to piss people off.
We always fucking. I bet they're all called Tamwar. Or no, Muhammad, whatever it is.
Right. Hold on, I'll get that.
They're not the same fucking cool 90s.
Right, 1 second. I'll get that up. Take this one down.
Never liked it, but this is just ridiculous. We get rid of Nicola Sturgeon and anybody that could have replaced her. We get her. You know what I mean? I would fucking prefer a gay husband. It's not even fucking funny. Like, I mean, what the fuck? I thought Rishi Sunak was bad. I mean, he's insufferable and he's a wanker and nobody voted for him, but he's not Hamza Yusuf, is he? I mean, the only one that's arguably worse is the one in Ireland because he's gay. Look at him fucking sat there, eh? Look at me. I got in on the exact same voter percentage that the Brexit vote went through on, but I called for a re-run of that referendum. But we won't be calling for a re-vote, no, because I'm brown. You fucking dick.
Yeah. It's not good, like.
It's fucking not.
Oh, check out the number of views.
It's ridiculous, yeah. That's that we fought with the family, like, before they popped up in the Vindaloos, eh?
Yeah, I wonder is it just a coincidence that it's stuck on 666k views?
It wouldn't surprise me if that was
set up, because like that number does have a bit of a meaning to it.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. My family and I are pissed off Hamza. You know?
Does that say my first day in occupation of Butte House? Oh, sorry, no, it doesn't. Sorry.
No.
My first night in Butte House, and I decided to take a photo that I knew would piss off the vast majority of the nation. Like, it's just a fucking dick. That is like the equivalent, right, of me, and it's never going to happen, getting into Pakistan, becoming a leader there, right, and then taking a photo in the equivalent of Butte House over there with a bacon roll and a beer. That's what that's like. I don't get it up, you boys. Daddy's in charge now. Just enjoy my bacon. Like a good fucking kafar.
You know, you 100% right there, DJ. It is 100% a power flex, isn't it?
Yeah,
it literally is.
Because you can't say anything, because if you do, you're a racist. That's all that man has ever done. He's played the victim at every turn. There was a story that came out a few weeks ago as well, where he's gone on about, like, oh, if he wins the leadership race, he's convinced he's going to be the victim of an avalanche of racism. And then he started rattling off all these alleged examples of racism that have occurred to him recently. And apparently he was with his daughter and she was having an ice cream and they were strolling along the beach. This is literally written in the fucking paper. And some guy apparently walked past and said white power. Now, I don't know about you, but that could be one of two things. It didn't happen, or somebody's memeing him, because according to the likes of everyone's a Nazi, so if you're going to take the piss at somebody, what better way than to act that the part of being a Nazi and what part of white power, bro? Like, nobody fucking believes in, like, nobody walks around going white power, like, in meaning it, non-ironically level. Like, so, come on. So, either didn't happen, very convenient, that something like that would happen to poor Hamza, or it did happen, but it was a guy taking the piss. You know? He also he's had people arrested and charged for saying nasty things to him online, including somebody who literally just called him a racist piece of shit for his anti-white speech. Got that guy charged. He's a fucking wanker.
Well, could his anti-white speech not just be reported as a hate crime?
You think, but it doesn't work that way. White men seem to be devoid of, protection. Well, that's why they even went so far. Race is protected, obviously, but that doesn't include white, because racism is power plus what's it? prejudice plus power nowadays, so we can't even
Well-
do this to people. But then obviously when they took sex out, that again, that covers the women when they included misogyny, but they left white men out.
But the anti-discrimination law and the protected categories are under racism are that includes white people.
Yeah, but
The-
you have tooth
yeah,
and
the-
nail to win any sort of discrimination case on that front, though.
Yeah, but the problem is we never turn up and take one.
No, that's true, but it's ridiculous.
You know-
It's a lot easier for if you're a BAME to insinuate that you're the victim of racism. You know?
It needs tested.
Yeah.
Oh, well, and probably in order to test it, we need somebody with large swingers and nothing to lose.
Well, I mean, it's right to be picking reporting that fucking video, to be honest. Or in fact, as well, he wanted you with this hate crime bill. He wanted you to get charged for having like offensive material in your house, like memes on your phone, or I don't know, Mein Kampf on your bookshelf, right? Well, he sat there. There's a video of him on YouTube bumming up Malcolm X and how he inspired him as a young man, etc. And he's got his autobiography and stuff, right? And Malcolm X used to say some very mean things about white people. Can you not make the argument that that's offensive content that's in Hamza's house, which by extension means, by his own logic, that that's grounds to get arrested? No, of course not. Because Papa Hamza and all his fellow beings, they are immune from their own logic.
Well, the other thing is that the judiciary have been trained in critical race theory, so they're not going to take that case. The police have been trained in critical race theory, so they're not going to take that case. It's
Exactly. You're fucked. All we're left with is little corners on the internet to say what we really think about, and they're even going after that now with their online harms bill. I don't know what we'll have to do after that.
Does Scotland
paper planes?
Does Scotland have Section 75 good relations policies?
I don't actually know what that is, but I'm going to take a guess and assume there's something to do with all the online stuff. So
Well,
they're desperate for the online harms bill to sort of encompass a lot more shit than it ordinarily would.
No, in Northern Ireland, we have laws, rules, regulations for government. It's called Section 75 Good Relations. Whatever you can't discriminate between men and women, between black people, white people, brown people, Chinese people, able-bodied, disabled people, any of that stuff. And because of the way that is set out, it includes men, it includes white people, because in order to put the other demographics in, they had to put those in. That's the basis.
Which is true equality.
Yeah. That whenever I was getting the International Men's Day event organised, for example, we found out how much was awarded to the International Women's Day event. It turned out to be $6,000. So we had to be given whenever I say given, I didn't personally get it. There was a £6,000 kitty there to be spent on the event, because that's what was available to be spent on the International Women's Day one. And we went in for that under the Good Relations legislation.
Yeah. Nothing like that here. None at all. I mean, even all the different I posted something on Telegram a couple of weeks ago of all the different organisations that the Scottish government fund, like multiple different feminist ones, multiple different racism ones, multiple different gender bender ones, and all that stuff. And there's not one thing there for.
Yeah, but you'll find that there isn't a men's group there applying for funding.
Maybe there is. I don't know. I don't really think there is that much of a men's rights movement in Scotland. There is a father's rights group.
Yeah, you'll find that there'll be a version of Families Need Fathers, Both Parents Matter, who are probably getting government funding on the very QT.
Maybe. I don't know. But as it stands, like there's like 6 or 7 different feminist groups that are being funded by the government, 6 or 7 LGBT ones, 6 or 7 racism ones. It's like ridiculous. Fucking ridiculous. They pay these organisations to in turn create resources for their education. So it's
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know if you want any of those other links I'll send you. Everybody's probably seen that Humza video by now at this point. But yeah, he gets it, and within 2 minutes he's telling the world that, if you've been in Scotland for a day, or if you are the descendant of 10 generations, we're all Scottish each other. Is that fucking right? Is that right? It's all like, I think he's in the chat. He's not Scottish. He might live in Scotland. He's not Scottish. It's not a white or a black thing. He's fucking Scottish. He's not having no hard feelings against the guy. But he's not. Nor is Hamza. What the fuck if he was born here? And if the fuck if his grandparents dropped Sprogs here, who in turn dropped him, he's not Scottish.
DJ, mate, you know what? I'm about an hour away from the border, depending on what route I take. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go over the border and declare myself Scottish just to piss you off, you fucker.
You might no. Well, I don't know if that works that way. Because you have to.
Yeah, it does. I'm just as Scottish as you.
No, you can't come over here and be a right-wing Tory English woman. You have to be elected.
Hold on a minute. My grandparents are fucking Macbeth and MacDonald. I'm more Scots than you fucker.
Are you fuck? My second pick this.
Here, Sansom, I've had a brainwave here. See, every time you need a prescription filled out, nip you across the border, identify yourself as Scottish and demand it for free.
Yeah, get a free one. Yeah, exactly. And say, put the tab on DJ's bill, you fuckers.
Then get some tampons as well while you're there.
Yeah, to shove up my arse and then send them to you in the
then
post.
You can drop them.
It's high art. Here's some high art for you, DJ. Some shit-stained tampons. There you go, son.
No, but you do have to be a particular type of Saxon to come here and be embraced by the SNP. If you come here and vote against the SNP, then you're filth to them. Like, it's very funny how that works. If you're a BAME who comes here and you're not for the SNP, then you're no welcome in Scotland. So it's only progression and diversity when it suits.
Right. I'm going to fire up this Hamas thing. Here we go.
Sir, the years after 9/11 were not easy for Muslims growing up in Scotland or indeed across the UK. I've lost count of how many times my identity, my loyalty to Scotland, the only country I have ever and will ever call home, has been questioned over the years. There was a time not all that long ago when I felt I simply did not belong here in Scotland. To go from there to now leading the government as Scotland's 6th First Minister, I hope sends a strong message to every single person out there who feels that they don't belong. No matter what anyone says, no matter who you are, whether Scotland has been your home for a day or for 10 generations, no matter your ethnicity, no matter your gender, no matter your religion, no matter your sexual orientation, your transgender identity or disability, this is your home. And do not let anyone ever tell you that you are not good enough. Do not let anyone ever tell you that you do not belong. And as First Minister, I will always fight for your rights. And where possible, I will do everything I can to advance them. I will always stand up for social justice more widely and for making Scotland a fairer as well as a wealthier nation. A key priority of my government. Sir.
You know what? Why is it though that these people feel like they don't belong? It's easy for them to point the finger and blame everybody else in society at large, but the reality of the matter is they sense the fact that they are a minority. Like, it would be the equivalent of me going to any other country in the world where I'm a minority, I would feel out of place. That is that's a them problem. I wouldn't go as far as to say it's an inferiority complex, but for some of them it might very well be. But they themselves recognise that they are A, not Scottish, and B, they're a minority, and they stick out like a sore thumb. That's their problem. Blame your fucking grandparents who moved here from Punjab and had your parents, who in turn had you. That's not my problem, right? But it's just like, I don't know, when I hear shit like that, because yeah, you can make the argument it's just waffling words, right? Because Sturgeon used to say it all the time, that you can come to Scotland and everybody's just as Scottish as each other. But it's worse than that in the sense that there's clips on my channel of pricks at the S&P conferences and that talking about the fact, and it's in your educational resources as well, that they're actively trying to decolonise, deracialise the Scottish national identity, right? So anybody can be Scottish. We're going to be able to identify a Scottish person non-racially in the future. Now, how do you go about doing that? Well, you have to first and foremost destroy the idea that a Scotsman is first and foremost an ethnicity, and we're white, and that's who we fucking are. We have to get rid of that in order to embrace this new and improved variation of what it means to be Scottish. So people like Hamza can feel like they fit in. So we can all get accustomed to that concept as we become more and more brown. That's what this is really about. Because as the generations go on and we become more and more brown, people will be less susceptible to go, what the fuck's going on here, if we're all convinced everybody's equally Scottish. So that to me is an absolute insult to hear a wanker like him stand. It was just as bad when it was that flat sturgeon. It just pisses me off to no end that people can stand there and just shit all over our identity. Oh, that is what it means fuck all. Like, this guy sits there and talks about his Pakistani heritage to no end. A Pakistani Scot, so he's got heritage, he's got an identity while simultaneously latching onto mine, rendering it redundant in the process, because if it's applicable to whomever chooses to apply it for themselves, then it means fuck all. You know, take a DNA test, Hamza pal. See how Scottish you really are, eh?
A beggar's belief. There's like, how to see by that logic, if you took all the people that live in Japan and planted them in Scotland, and took all the people that live in Scotland and planted them in Japan, the Japanese would be Scots, the Scottish would be Japanese,
Yeah.
and the whiskey would go to shit and the sushi would go to shit, because neither of the two people that are living in the places that make that know how to fucking make it.
Mm-hmm. Or another example as well, I've used a few times. David Lammy springs to mind every time I bring up this example, but another one's like Jeff Palmer. He's that little dick that looks like Uncle Ben. You know, the guy that they pulled off the jars for being out because it was racist, partly. And he was the one that was running around Scotland pointing all the statues saying they were all racist and stuff. But he claims that he's got a Scottish ancestor, right? And he claims, and he wrote it in some opinion piece he did for a paper. He said that one of his Scottish ancestors raped his slave ancestor or something, right? And David Lammy claims as well that he's got a Scottish ancestor. He's got Scottish blood, right? But then they simultaneously say anybody can be Scottish. Why the fuck can you have a Scottish ancestor then? What do you mean you had a Scottish ancestor? Was that somebody from Bangladesh who happened to be in the land that was classified as Scotland? How the fuck can you have a Scottish ancestor if there's no such thing as a Scotsman or a Scottish woman, because anybody could be Scottish? So they trip themselves up with their own shit, really, because in order to have Scottish blood, David Lammy's own words, that would mean that such a thing exists. Therefore, Scottish people must exist. So how the fuck can anybody be Scottish at the same time? Does everybody have Scottish blood? No. So I don't know what they're talking about. The reality of the matter is, and I hate how it's been deemed racist nowadays, Hamza Youssef and every other Pakistani, every other Polish person, every other Irish person, every other Saxon, doesn't fucking matter about skin colour. If you're in my country, you're not Scottish. The same way that a Scotsman living in Germany, it's not German. It's really that simple. They make it about white and black because they want you to believe, or they want the people to believe we're all white supremacists. It's not fucking nothing to do with that. Like, it's fucking pretty basic biology that seems to be buried deep beneath the ground now, so we can embrace the shit, so people like Hamza can effectively hijack our identity for their own cause. Black people can never be Scottish, and nor can brown people, or most white people for that matter. So get it up, Hamza. I'm sure the police will come knocking at some point when your hate crime bill gets put in effect, but I'm blast kidding, fuck.
There's none of it makes any sense. There's none of it. Like, there's a reason why people are Scottish. There's a reason why people are English. There's a reason why people are French. There's a reason why people are German. And it's got to do with their
It's
forefathers.
culture, history, obviously, and then there's an aspect of genes and DNA. You know, like the British Isles for like 1,000 years. Okay, yeah, there was like the invasions of the Vikings and the Romans and stuff, but it's not like they came here and blitzed the whole fucking island when there was nobody left. Some of them stayed, some of them intermingled, and then the rest of them fucked off. But by and large, though, in the context of Britain, the British Isles remained relatively unscathed in terms of gene mixing, if you will. So it was an untouched gene pool. So for some Pakistani to come over here, or a couple of generations ago, have a child with another Pakistani, then they, by extension, produced Hamza. That doesn't mean he's Scottish. That's just a big F you to 1,000 years of history. It's just ridiculous.
I'm sure he's I'm sure he'll be a natural tossing the caber.
Right. I mean, I'm just waiting for that next. I mean, he's already got his fucking tartan, the Muslim tartan, Islamic tartan. Next time, making that shit about like the Highland clans and that. Like, some of them were brown and that. It's ridiculous. Which actually does remind me of that story with that boxer guy. Like, he was just pointing out some pretty simple things about the guy. And he made that joke about he's from the clan McYusuf, but he just dropped the Mac. And then all the papers were after him for that. You can't do that. You know? I mean, this fucking Twitter bio, I don't know if it still says it, but it used to. There's like a place in Pakistan or something called like Bangora or something, but it was like hails from bagpipes in Bangora. Like, just fuck off, Hamza, you prick. You know what I mean? Just no. It's like, you know, like moving to Australia and then going hails from bagpipes and didgeridoos. It's like, no, shut up. Martin W in the chat, as long as he drinks iron brew, he's Scottish. Well, there's a lassie who, what's her fucking name? She's the only Muslim MSP in Westminster for the SNP, Anam Kashir or something. She first made headlines in Scotland for being proud of her Muslim identity, and she's just as Scottish as everybody else because she drinks iron brew. Like, that was literally the picture in the paper. Was her with a pint of iron brew. Oh, it makes you Scottish, love. I mean, this is what they've done to it's just a fucking piss take when we've got BAMEs that can say the most ludicrous stuff like that. Drinking iron brew makes you Scottish, and it gets celebrated in all our papers as if it's stunning and brave. And if you have the temerity to point out that a tin of fizzy juice does not make you Scottish, you're a racist. It's like, what the fuck? Scotland the brave, aye? No.
Well, where does this all end? You know, yeah.
Well,
there is obviously an end point of this. Or
it's headed to a point where I think what they're doing right now, we're in the process of normalising mass migration and the concept of non-racial identity, etc. But we're headed to a point where there's going to be no Scots left, and that's going to be unacceptable. Graham Campbell, I'm sure you must have seen the clip where he stood in the conference a few years ago, and he says it quite clearly. He's like, "Oh, we're headed to a Scotland that's going to be non-racial. You'll be able to identify a Scotsman non-racially," and then it's met with thunderous applause, you know. And then the educational resources, I made videos on this, where they actually say quote for quote, and this website was promoted explicitly by the SNP on the website, where they say that they want to promote and normalise the concept of diversity over and above the stereotype of a white majority. That's their words, no man. Like, literally, like, I'm not even paraphrasing it. That's what it says. Like, this is what they're teaching kids. They want to promote diversity over this concept, this myth of white majority. First and foremost, kids are not taught that there's a white majority. They see it and observe it because it's the reality. But they want to sort of topple that myth because it won't be a reality for much fucking longer.
See, if everybody's Scottish, then nobody's actually Scottish. Same with, you know, I mean, I often think Hitler must be ruling on his grave, because if everybody's Hitler, who the fuck's he?
I know.
You know, it's you know,
you hit the nail on the head, dude. That's the point. That's what gets me so fucking infuriated by it, and that's why I had that like wee sort of mini argument with Sedana a couple of weeks ago. Just like white, oh, you're white stuff. I know I'm white in the sense that I could be identified as white and whatnot, but I'm Scottish. Like, I wouldn't expect to be seen as Polish if I moved to Poland. And I will never see Polish people here as Scottish. And it's not a white or a black thing, because when I was in school and all the Polish, they all congregated with each other. The minute one moved to the school, they would go and find the Polish people. You veer towards your own. It's just fucking natural. And that's before you get into the intrinsic aspects of biology and whatnot. These are just facts. Right? They will never be Scottish, and if they have fucking children here with another Polish parent, that child's not Scottish either. That child is Polish. Well, I would say more Slavic, arguably speaking. But it's like, I don't know. This idea that if you're born, the magic soil argument, isn't it? If you're born on a piece of land, you're automatically just as native as the literal natives. It's ridiculous. We're trying to eviscerate the concept of us being indigenous on purpose.
I think if one Polish family came and lived in a Highland community, I think after 10 generations of just that Polish family integrating with the rest of the Scottish community, there could be a case for like the 10th generation to be Scottish.
Oh, well, like, yeah, if they, like, it would depend on who the parents of the children were in these generations, because if each child was born to two Polish parents, then no, they're not Scottish. But if that child was born to a Scottish parent and a Polish parent, instantly half Scottish.
Yeah.
Like, half caste, it's the same with half caste, half black, half Scottish.
Right.
Like,
yes.
They're half Scottish. It's not difficult for them to cut what they should be, but yet they've got documentaries in the BBC iPlayer complaining that people don't see them as Scottish, well, because they're not white. Well, that's a shit argument as far as I'm concerned. If you've got a Scottish parent, you're Scottish. Really that simple. I don't believe in all this nonsense of like claiming identities when you've got no right to do so. It's no better than the trannies demanding that you call them Sonia when they're clearly called Jeff or whatever the fuck. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but even that would only work if it was just that one Polish family, and they stayed contained within a Highlander community.
Yeah.
But the idea that you can bring fucking masses of people and they'll integrate and somehow become Scottish or English or Welsh or Northern Irish or whatever, that's complete and utter bullshit. And in fact, in all the studies, what they're finding is that the first generation come over and attempt to integrate, or they did back in the 60s whenever it started. But as the generations go on, the more they heal to their mother country, to the point where English cricket is having a problem because they're bringing youth cricketers up through the system. And whenever they get to the stage where they're 16, 17 and they're playing well and they're wanting to put them into Cricket England for the elevator to become professional and play for England, they're going, no, I want to play for Pakistan. I want to play for India. You know, it doesn't...
Like Anthony Joshua, he's another one. He's got like a fucking... I don't know what African flag it is on his arm. It's one of them anyway. There's a lot of countries in Africa. But yeah, he's English partly.
Ghana.
English.
Ghana.
Aye. Like, clearly with the colour of his skin, he obviously got some like white ancestry. No denying it, but the other was Mo Farah. Like, for fuck's sake, the guy is not English. But yeah, he's branded about in places if he's like some British icon and he's English. He's not.
Hold on a minute. He comes over to England a couple of times a year to run in the Great North Run and the London Marathon to get his £1 million, and then he fucks off back to America so he doesn't have to pay tax.
But he's English, partner.
Well, of course he's English. He's as English as you, DJ.
He's as English as Finchley.
It just annoys me how these people get to have like an aspect of their culture and whatnot, like they're Pakistani Scottish or fucking, I don't know, whatever you want. But yet the same's not true for us. How can they be Pakistani Scottish? What makes them Scottish? What, because they're Litfield? Like, nah. I'm sorry, it's not how it fucking works at all. You know, it never used to be a controversial argument to make, but nowadays it's not even controversial. It's just unheard of now. People, it's just brushed under the rug, and all you hear, anybody can be Scottish. So no, you fucking can't. And the same is applicable to most countries. Okay, Europe's a bit different, given not like Belgium was the all like I was unusual with before that. You know, like ethnic Belgium and stuff. But you know, there's like Germanic and Slavs and Celts, Saxons, etc. There's different groups of people, distinct groups of people. You can't just erase that. And that's what they're trying to do. It's not better than the pricks that are trying to erase honesty. You know?
It's all mad. It is just all fucking mad.
Right? And it's done by design when you look at like the definitions of genocide and whatnot. We're not even really protected under the genocide laws of the United Nations because you have to be indigenous, more or less. And we're obviously not protected under those definitions either because they've updated what it means to be indigenous now. And it's people that lived alongside colonialism or were settled in an area before the colonialists thrived, etc. Here's the colonists, well, you're white. So, yeah. So the Maoris get the indigenous, but yet we don't, despite being here for a lot fucking longer. Yeah.
Has the definition of a genocide changed?
No, but...
Right. The last time I looked at it was the removal in part or in whole of a group of people on religious or ethnic grounds.
Aye. Yeah, like we tick pretty much every single box, but yet the way that it's worded in some of the documents and that is like if you're indigenous.
Oh well,
yeah, and they've eradicated what indigenous actually means in these lands.
Yeah.
So you know what I mean? So like I say, you know, when we talk about indigenous people, without our knowledge or say, they said, oh no, the Britons are not indigenous of these islands. You know, they just happen to be there. You know, so in other words, if we do genocide them, it's not technically a genocide because they're not indigenous. You know what? Fuck you.
I think where it falls down is the removal in order to get classed as a genocide must be by violence or forced removal. But that's not what's happening. What's happening is the land is being planted with other people who are becoming more populous. So I think that's where, because like if Cockneys had been a form of an animal, there'd been something done about it. But Cockneys have gone.
Yeah, and they even had a documentary that came out about the last Cockneys.
Yeah, and like they even had a distinct language and a distinct way of life.
Yeah. Ridiculous, eh? Like, I did that article. I posted it again on my Telegram yesterday, but it came out like last year or 2021, and it was like we covered it a bit on one of the streams on my channel a couple of months ago. Yeah, just to refresh those that haven't seen it on the memory or whatever. And they were talking about like it's predicted that the future of Scotland, as well as because it was a Scottish-based article, but it included the vast majority of other European countries. The future is brown. They literally was saying this in like a publication that's bought and paid for by millions of maybe not millions. No, that'd be the people. But point is that we called it the brownification of Scotland. Predictions show that Scotland will be majority brown, if not completely brown. You know, then you've got that. Things like that. Then you've got our government to no end talking about the need for us to have devolved immigration control because we're not having enough children, so we need immigration powers so we can attract people here. Is that not simply importing people to have children on your behalf? Thus, if we play by that logic, mathematically speaking, it still leads to the same fucking concept of replacement. Like, what? I don't know, but if we can normalize the idea that anybody can be Scottish and it's not a quote-unquote white or brown thing, then, you know, the future of Scotland being brown isn't, well, that's not controversial anymore, is it? But that's not going to work with me or you or anybody listening right now. But if you start that shit with a bunch of 4 and 5-year-olds, in the future, you're going to have a very susceptible population.
The idea behind immigration was that we needed to bring in more people to pay more taxes so we can look after our senior citizens. But that falls down at the point where biology shows that immigrants eventually grow old.
Yeah, exactly. We need to import more.
It's all mad.
It's just ridiculous how they can get away with like advocating for replacement migration, but yet if we point out that that's what it is, like that's brandished as like a conspiracy, etc. Like it's not though. If you can provide, that's why I compiled these clips in the first place. If you can provide them saying it themselves without you having to open your mouth, then that should really derail their attempts to besmirch us, really. You know?
But apparently doing that's racist.
Exactly. Huh? It's ridiculous. It's fucking gross.
Beggars belief. Right. Well, we're going 2 hours 20, and Sansom and I both did a stream before this. I'm looking to wrap this up in about the next 10 minutes, if that's okay with you two.
Aye, son.
Sansom?
Yes, mate, and I've had a request for the outro tune, so I'll stick that in the. I'll stick that in the old chat when we're ready, mate.
Yep, no worries. Anything that either of you two want to talk about before we close up?
See what else we're shooting at each other. Funny enough, I don't know if you want to go over, like, it was just on the very subject that we're on about there, but you don't have, but even if you just show the, like, screen share the title of the fucking article, just to prove the point, this was the latest example of many, you know? I'll share it back and start again, but.
Right.
This here, the entirety of that shit, like, it's just because, but it proves the point again. Yeah, it's alright for them to say it, but no worries.
Hold on, this is giving me a fucking security thing. Right, hold on. Boom, boom, boom.
I did share like the
right. See, does this work? It was asking me for a security check for the site. No. It's checking to see if my connection site verifying. Verify I'm human. Yeah. Italian? Am I on the right thing here? Self-flow checkout?
No.
Nope. What the hell? Right.
Must have been a pop-up or something that came up.
Right, I've got the picture.
Yeah, that's all you need, to be honest.
Right. Yep, here we go. I'll fire that up. Just that bit. Right. Get out of that. Right there. Right. Got that. Share screen. Window. There we go. That should be up.
So basically, the article is probably the same sort of shit you see everywhere else. Like, but it just kind of goes further on from what we're on about there. The article, obviously, deaths in Scotland for like the third year in a row, you know, exceeded births. We've got record low births as it is. And it's probably a lot worse now that everybody's taking their fucking Modernas. But yeah, what's the solution from this wanker, this queer hawk? Well, we need immigration controls. That'll solve the problem. So, ain't at all been done or even discussed to rectify these issues or even address the issues, find out why this is happening. No, let's just import brown people. Like, that is the solution to everything. It's just import people. That is literally replacement migration. But it can only be classified as a replacement migration if there's a difference between them and us. And that's exactly what they're trying to dismantle, that concept.
Right. It's not it's not replacement because
We're all the same.
yeah, we're all the same.
Yeah.
It's literally just fucking yeah. It's one for one in, one out. It's like a nightclub.
Yeah. It's just ridiculous, yeah. But they do this all the time. It's always a fucking thing. Oh, we need immigration control. Like, not solve all your problems, do they? Just import people. Nobody thinks long term about what the consequences are. Like if your births are record low, right, and then your solution is to just import people annually over time. If those births ain't getting any better, but yet there's a ever increasing influx of people being imported to replace those that have died or whatever.
Oh,
And scales tip. It's maths, and I'm not even good at maths, and I know that.
well, the Islamic population doubles every 10 years.
So I don't really know what else to tell people at this point. If you're really one of these thinkers that can stand there and drool at the fact that Hamza Yusuf is taking the piss right at you to your face by telling you that everybody's Scottish, then I don't know what to tell you anymore. To be honest, it's been done by design to accustom you to the fact that you've been replaced in your own fucking home.
And there ain't no way back from it.
Not really. You're not going to vote with it, but anyway.
Well, there is a way back for it, but
yeah, things we can't talk about on YouTube,
well, I don't believe the collective country's got the stomach for it.
No. And Sina said in the stream that I did with No Chance and fucking David Clues, said that like one of my things that concerns me the most is the education front. Because what they're actually teaching kids now, there's a reason that they're going so hard after kids, and it's absolute vile as shit that they're being taught. Like the thing I mentioned earlier on, normalising diversity and shit down to 4-year-olds. Like they're doing that on purpose. So by the time we're all gone, people that have still got the ability to actually think for themselves and whatnot, and I'm not saying everybody's got that capability because there's a lot of retards, but the point is, the generations that are going to be the future, they don't stand a chance. Like the things that are being taught in school, like the Scottish education, for example, one of the world's best for a time, one of the world's worst now in terms of how fast it's plummeting down world rankings. And in its place is learning for sustainability, climate justice, social justice, etc., 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 etc. Like all this bullshit. Like, what hope do they have? Like this argument that they're going to get to a point where they're acceleration, etc., etc. What acceleration talking about? Like, got a bunch of wee boys that are going to grow up to be little pansies who think that diversity is our greatest fucking strength because they learned it in a textbook when they're not having panic attacks over climate anxiety. You know, I mean, what hope do we have? And I'd hate to be a black pill, like, but it's reality. Is that a black pill or is it realism? I actually have more respect for the weed-longer approach, really. We should just fucking back off from society and save ourselves.
Yeah, there's a lot to that.
Yeah, a lot easier said than done, but what's the alternative, really? Wasting year after year after year thinking you're going to vote some based and red pill politician into a system that's rigged deliberately against you. I just don't think it's going to happen.
No, the last party that would have been willing to do what needs done would have been the Vanguard Party, and they're long gone.
Yeah. And then even if there was a hypothetical party that managed to get into a position where they might win a couple of seats, you don't also have to contend with your opposition. You have to contend with fake supporters, like your Reform Party, for example. The only reason that Nigel Farage as an entity exists is deliberately to ensure that he can hemorrhage any support that might go to any other party that poses a threat to the oligarchy. All he's in there for.
That party's a gatekeeper.
Yeah.
And any party whatsoever that looks to be going anywhere, he'll just fucking nuke it. Because the Brexit party, this is too long streaming. Farage's original party, what was its name?
Sorry, what?
Farage's original party, what was its name?
Fuck.
UKIP.
Yeah.
UKIP, yeah. After Farage went, UKIP looked to be going on a pretty decent direction until Farage made reform to pull the rug out from underneath it. And that's the only reason why he came back to pull that out. Billy Blogs, yes. I'm showing me age, possibly you are too. I did see the Vanguard Party from Northern Ireland in the 1970s. I think they're the last party we had that we'd been willing to do what needs done.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I hate to be that guy at like Blackpools and stuff because stranger things have fucking happened. Obviously, I'm not a guru in that front, but I don't know. I just don't see it happening. Especially in Scotland. Maybe it's different down in England, but it's not. It actually make the arguments worse down there because you've got that fucking first past the post stuff. But I don't know. There's not even one political party in Scotland that speaks like an iota of sense, really. Like, the Clyde did that stream last week with a couple of people, and there was like some lassie on there who was like just for independence. Her party's just for independence, but no EU or any of that shit. They oppose the SNP. That's all fine, well and dandy, right? But why the fuck are you predicating your whole political campaign on independence when all this shit's going on around you? I don't hear you mentioning any of that. No, because it's just like they're so focused on stupid shit. But if she ever did open her mouth about anything that actually was of relevance or importance, that would be the end of her party. You know? So.
Right. On that jolly note, Sansom, do you have that link?
I do, mate. Let me just stick it in the chat for thee now.
Yep.
There you go, mate. Merry Christmas.
Where's it? Right, where did you put it?
Well, it's where I normally put it, in your purse.
Right. Well, I can't find it. It's not in the...
It's there. It is. It's there.
Oh,
you can
fuck,
see
right. Duh. Sorry, boomer. Right, hold on. That started a little quick. Right. Here we go. Samson's been Samson. DJ's been DJ. You lot in the... I've been 42 and you lot in the chat have, as always, been fucking amazing. I'm going to play us out and put some comments up on the screen. Before we do that, Samson, DJ, any last words?
No, just everybody hope you have a great weekend. And I'm on the
No, just don't be that guy. That's all I'll say.
Have a great weekend. I'm not streaming because I'm on the naughty step, but I might be back next Sunday. Take care and God bless.
Oh, if any wrestling nerds, WrestleMania's on the night, by the way.
All right.
Yeah.
Right, here we go.
It's Peach. Humza hates Peach. He doesn't mind a fig or two, but Humza hates Peach. At the party conference, we nippy at the helm. Blackfoot stuck in Westminster, the rest in lockdown hell. They had a buffet lunch with all those lovely things, but just before the salad bar, they heard poor Humza scream. Oh, Humza hates Peach. Humza hates Peach. He doesn't mind a fig or two, but Humza hates Peach. Humza hates Peach. Humza hates Peach. He doesn't mind a fig or two, but Humza hates Peach. You shouldn't even be here. They heard old Humza shout. You're just a furry nectarine. I think I'll throw you out. You come here in your millions. I wish you were the last. You're not allowed to stay here, cause we were never asked. Oh, Humza hates Peach. Humza hates Peach. He doesn't mind a fig or two, but Humza hates Peach. Humza hates Peach. Humza hates Peach. He doesn't mind a fig or two, but Humza hates Peach. You say I don't belong here, you nasty offy man. Most folks say that they like me, I know you're not a fan. Yes, I am a foreign fruit, that much is very true. But by your double standards, I'm just as Scots as you. Oh, Holmesa hates Beach, Holmesa hates Beach. He doesn't mind a fig or two, but Holmesa hates Beach. Holmesa hates Beach, Holmesa hates Beach. He doesn't mind a fig or two, but Holmesa hates Beach. Holmesa hates Beach, Holmesa hates Beach. He doesn't mind a fig or two, but Holmesa hates Beach.
Look, I do not sound like groundskeeper Willie, right? I mean White. No, right. Oh, to hell with the lorries. White.
Oh, Samson, that was fucking excellent. Well done, chum. All right, everybody. Samson been Samson, DJ's been DJ, I've been 42. You lot in the chat have, it's always been fucking amazing. Good night, God bless, and see you all next week. Bye.